o'clock, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to take a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
A motion by Dick and a second by Craig to approve the agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Just a note for the record, we do have Councilman Harms absent tonight. Council workshop report. These are minutes of the December 9th, 2013 Hampton City Council workshop. Members present were Davies, Eckhart, Hogback, Lukensmeyer, Crowley, and Harms. Also present were myself, City Manager Ron Bent, Public Works Director Doug Tarr, and Police Chief Shaver. I called the workshop to order at 6 p.m. The Pledge of Allegiance was cited. Public comment time was offered. No comments. Ron Rainey, representing Hampton Rotary Club, explained the Rotary Club is considering acquiring the vacant lot at the corner of First Avenue Northwest and First Street Northwest, also known as Gazebo Park. He indicated Karen Schmidt owns the property and is offering to gift it to the Rotary if Rotary agrees to pay closing costs. Rainey asked if the City Council was interested in partnering in some manner with ownership or maintenance of the property. They envision utilizing the property as a community garden and would not limit the future development of the property if the project or buyer were interested. He indicated that they were planning to have ISU conduct a rendering of the landscaping Rotary would consider. Some council concerns were removing it from the tax rolls, future conformance with Main Street Hampton guidelines, maintenance costs, and limitations on future development. Ron reviewed the City Attorney Services proposal that was submitted through the RFP process. The RFP required proposals to be submitted by Friday, December 6th. Attorney Mike Cross submitted the only proposal with fees proposed of $125 per hour for office work and $175 an hour for trial work. Council will consider the proposal and make an appointment at their first meeting in January 2014. Ron presented a handout of information relating to Senate File 295, commercial property tax reform. The handout included a model formulated by the Iowa League of Cities, which gives a very rough estimate of potential loss of revenues due to the new legislation. The model was constructed with the Legislative Services Agency. Ron cautioned against taking the numbers literally, as the model has built-in assumptions which utilize statewide growth averages for revaluations and new construction. He further pointed out that these growth assumptions are likely overstated for communities such as Hampton. The only factor in the model that the city has any control over is the levy. Ron presented information on the options for consideration for the traffic control at the intersection of First Street and Highway 3. The two options are to, one, make traffic signals operational again, refurbish estimate $25,000 to $30,000. Replace estimate $150,000. Iowa DOT supports these options. There may be possible funding assistance with the Iowa DOT, but likely will be tied to council consideration of a 3-lane conversion. Option 2, permanent 4-way stop signs with red flashing lights. A, refurbish wiring for red flashing only using current poles and masts. Estimated cost of $1,700. Could be accomplished with 3 to 4 weeks lead time. Department of Transportation prefers this option over B, installing new 4-way red flashing beacons suspended by cable diagonally overhead across intersection with an estimated cost of $700. The city would be responsible for installing new utility poles, span cable, electric powered meter socket, removal of existing poles and masts, future maintenance and utility expense to operate. Iowa DOT would be responsible for expenses of 4-way beacon, controller, electrical from socket to control cabinet and to beacons. Council will discuss at a future meeting. And Ron reviewed the upcoming budget meeting calendar with no objections cited. The meeting schedule will be as shown. The meeting concluded at 6:44 p.m. With that, we'll offer time for public comment. And now we'll move forward. First item on our agenda tonight is a public hearing regarding the proposed sale of city-owned real estate located at 208th Street Northwest. Being the time and place for the public hearing in regard to the proposed sale of city-owned real estate located at 208th Street Northwest. We'll open the public hearing at 6:05 p.m. City Manager Doug will review the details.
Thank you, Mayor. This property at 208th Street Northwest, property the city acquired was a nuisance property. We tore it down, and it's a vacant lot. It's so we are proposing to sell it, and we sought sealed bids, and bidders would be eligible to attend tonight's meeting and increase their bids if they desired. We received one bid, and we had a minimum bid set on that lot of $1,000.
Next is a public hearing regarding proposed sale of city-owned real estate located at 409 First Street Southwest. Now being the time and place for public hearing in regard to the proposed sale of city-owned real estate located at 409 First Street Southwest. We'll open the public hearing at 6:06 p.m. And I'll refer to City Manager Duff for the details on that project.
Slot at 409 First Street Southwest, same type of scenario, abandoned property, city acquired, tore down, it's a vacant lot, in the residential area. We sought sealed bids on this as well, the deadline is today. Council will be considering the one bid that we got on this one too, and the minimum bid was $1,000. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any public comment on that proposal? Close the public comment, or the public hearing on that at 6:07. Next, a public hearing regarding the proposed sale of timber from Harriman Park. Being the time and place for the public hearing in regard to the proposed sale of timber from Harriman Park, we'll open the public hearing at 6:07 p.m. I'll refer to City Manager Dunt and also Tree Board Chairman Dick Lucas-Meyer for the details.
We sought bids on the 13 walnut trees and 2 bur oaks in Harriman's Park, and we received one bid from Jeff Wilson of Wilson Custom Tree out of Cresco, and I'll let Dick talk about from a tree board perspective what kind of recommendation they would make to the city council regarding this bid.
I'm gonna go ahead with the recommendation now. Where's that?
No, just talk about the.
We did receive one bid. We had several people interested, but the short notice, we sent the letter out probably 3 weeks ago. It did some follow-up calls. About 29 of them actually on Tuesday, and we had several people that either misplaced the letter or didn't receive the letter. But there were some other people that were interested. I thought we were gonna at least have one more written bid, but we did not get that. So we'll address this bid when the time comes later in the meeting.
Any comment from the public on this sale? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on the timber at 6:09. Next on the agenda, we have Jan Slater here with us from Donovan CPA to present the fiscal year 2013 annual audit report.
I'm just gonna read the independent auditor's letter in the front. I understand that you've all had a chance to look at the copies. So, anyway, this is the independent auditor's report to the honorable mayor and members of the city council. Report on the financial statements. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Hampton, Iowa, as of and for the year ended June 30th, 2013, and the related notes to the financial statements which collectively comprise the city's basic financial statements listed in the table of contents. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with the cash basis of accounting described in Note 1. This includes determining the cash basis of accounting is an acceptable basis for the preparation of the financial statements in the circumstances. This includes the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to error or fraud. Our responsibility is to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards and the standards applicable to financial audits contained in government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. Those standards require that we plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. An audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of risks of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error. In making those risk assessments, the auditor considers internal control relevant to the city's preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the city's internal control. Accordingly, we express no such opinion. An audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of significant accounting estimates made by management, as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statements. We believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinions. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective cash basis financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Hampton as of June 30th, 2013, and the respective changes in cash basis financial position for the year that ended in accordance with the basis of accounting described in Note 1. As described in Note 1, these financial statements were prepared on the basis of cash receipts and disbursements, which is a basis of accounting other than U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. Our opinion is not modified with respect to this matter. Our audit was conducted for the purpose of forming opinions on the financial statements that collectively comprise the City of Hampton's basic financial statements. The financial statements for the 8 years ended June 30th, 2012, which are not presented herein, were audited by other auditors in accordance with the standards referred to in the second paragraph of this report, and expressed unqualified opinions on those financial statements, which were prepared on the basis of cash receipts and disbursements. The supplementary information, including in Schedules 1 through 5, is presented for purposes of additional analysis and is not a required part of the basic financial statements. The supplementary information is the responsibility of management and was derived from and relates directly to the underlying accounting and other records used to prepare the basic financial statements. Such information has been subjected to the auditing procedures applied in the audit of the basic financial statements and certain additional procedures, including comparing and reconciling such information directly to the underlying accounting and other records used to prepare the basic financial statements or to the basic financial statements themselves, and other additional procedures in accordance with U.S. generally accepted auditing standards. In our opinion, the supplementary information, except for that portion marked unaudited on Schedule 5, on which we express no opinion, is fairly stated in all material respects in relation to the basic financial statements taken as a whole. The other information, management's discussion and analysis, and the budgetary comparison information on pages 7 through 12 and 28 through 30 has not been subjected to the auditing procedures applied in the audit of the basic financial statement, and accordingly, we do not express an opinion or provide any assurance on it. In accordance with government auditing standards, we have also issued our report dated December 5th, 2013, on our consideration of the City of Hampton's internal control over financial reporting and our test of its compliance with certain provisions of laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements and other matters. The purpose of that report is to describe the scope of our testing of internal control over financial reporting and compliance, and the results of that testing, and not to provide an opinion on the internal control over financial reporting or compliance. That report is an integral part of an audit performed in accordance with government auditing standards in considering the City of Hampton's internal control over financial reporting and compliance. The letter is dated December 5th, 2013, which is the date of the audit report. Following that is management's discussion and analysis, and this part is written by city employees and officials, and it introduces the audit report and the financial statements which were discussed in the letter. As you go through the report, there are different ways of displaying the information. Exhibit A is regarding, the government programs as far as disbursements and charges for service and how much each one of those programs, pays for their operations. And then you have general receipts and, taxes and things like that. The second schedule is, by fund, and, it basically has, what is considered the major funds, and then in the back of the report, the non-major funds are displayed. The third schedule on page 19 covers the water sewer, as major funds, and then the, water reserve and the meter deposits and those kinds of funds are non-major, and there's a schedule in the back for those. The notes to the financial statements basically explain how the city, reports as an entity, talks about the jointly governed organizations that the city belongs to, gives an explanation of the basis of presentation of the financial statement, talks about the city's cash and pooled investments, talks about the city's bonds and notes payable, gives a maturity schedule on those, explains what each of the debts are for and how they're to be prepaid. Note 4 on page 24 talks about pension, which is IFRS in this case. Other post-employment benefits for retirees. Talks about compensated absences. The next note is regarding the transfers that the city made between funds. On page 25 also we talk about related party transactions. The city belongs to the landfill of North Iowa, so there's an explanation of how that operates. Talks about the city's insurance. On page 26, one of the funds had a deficit balance due to, incurring costs before the availability of, grants and other funds. There are several funds, that, on the city's books that have excess funds. Most of those funds are, allocated for future projects. And then nothing happened after June 30th that required the statements to be adjusted. Page 28 and 29 is a display of the city's budget, the governmental funds and the enterprise funds, and then comparison to the original and amended budgets with a final budget and total variance. And then on page 30 is notes to the budgetary reporting schedule. From 31 on is supplementary information as the report talks about, and it's regarding the non-major funds, and then the debt schedule, how much was retired and how much was issued during the year. Schedule 4 is a more detailed report about the city's debts and their maturity schedules. And then the last schedule is regarding the city's receipts by source and the disbursements by function for the last 9 years. Following that is our report on internal control. And the last section of the report is the findings from the audit and, you know, the things that we basically are required to report on, whether we have a finding or not. One of the internal control deficiencies we usually see in a small city is segregation of duties. We make recommendations, and it's not possible to have the ultimate segregation of duties, but the city does the best that it can with the officials and employees that they have. There were a couple other things, and most of those basically are due to the small staff. The rest of it is more on compliance and other things like that. So that's pretty much takes you to the end of the report. report. We will be supplying the report in electronic format and paper copy to the state auditor's office as required. Then the report ends up available to the public on the state auditor's website also. So, I think we've provided enough copies of the report. Anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can.
Questions for Dan? Thanks. With that, I'd entertain a motion then.
I'd make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? We've got a motion by Dan and a second by Alvin to accept the fiscal year 2013 audit report as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of approval of proceeding with scope of services described by Yagi Colby Associates for the Hampton Public Library Improvement Project, authorizing the city manager to sign. First, city manager, Jeff, for details.
Thank you, Mayor. This is for the library improvement project, Yagi Colby and Associates. We did an RFP for engineering services. And Yagi, we had 3 submit proposals. One of them was late, but was the high one regardless. And Yagi Colby was the low offer. This proposal from Yagi is based on information provided in the request proposal received by the city dated October 23rd, 2013. It's understood that the city and the library board are intending to make site improvements at the library facility located at the northeast corner of First Street Southeast and Highway 3. Proposed improvements to include a paved parking lot, outdoor reading area, new entrance on east end library, and site landscaping. Also, they noted that the city is looking to incorporate permeable paving, which we aren't. That was something that I specified would not be included, but I've talked to them since then, so they understand. Yagi Colby and Associates has extensive experience with permeable pavement systems and recently provided professional engineering services on 2 projects in Clear Lake that incorporated pervious concrete pavement system for stormwater management. Additionally, the firm can provide the expertise needed to develop additional landscaping and drainage solutions to enhance the proposed courtyard seating area, as well as building modifications at the east end of the library. Yagi Colby and Associates services are to include topographic survey, boundary verification, engineered site plans for parking lots, storm sewer utility, outdoor reading, courtyard, east door entry modifications, landscaping, bidding assistance, construction administration, construction observation, and staking. Scope of services again would be topographic survey and boundary verification, engineered plans, construction services, and additional services beyond that would be a fee schedule, not included in this proposal. Project fee, Yagi Colby and Associates proposes to provide services reflected in the scope of services on an hourly rate basis for a not to exceed fee of $16,800. This fee includes all anticipated reimbursable expenses. They've also attached standard terms and conditions that would be considered part of this proposal. And I've shown this to Kim Manning, the director of the library, and Linda Keener, the chairperson of the library board of directors. And they indicated they didn't have any issues with this proposal. They're happy to see that we're moving forward, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
If there's no questions, I ask for a motion.
Move to approve.
Oh, yeah.
I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Was there a final estimate from the project, the total project? I mean, we looked at some estimated figures. Was there
Not yet.
a defined amount?
No. That's part of what they will do. That's right. They'll come up with their engineer's cost estimate of the project.
So the figures we've looked at already are still
Yeah.
on the table.
Yeah, the figures that we've seen were were put together by local contractors and ballpark estimates, so, we'll be looking to get some more focused in on
Okay.
what they actually might be.
What we're approving now is just to get us there to that point.
And we're approving engineering services, for this project.
Any other questions? I take a motion.
Move to approve, Mayor.
Second. A motion by Craig and a second by Dick to approve the proceeding of scope of services described by Yagi and Colby Associates for the Hampton Public Library Improvement Project, authorizing city manager to sign.
And I would say, if I recommend, if you could put in that motion, mention the fee amount for fee not to exceed $16,800, just for the record. Craig and Dick are okay with that? Okay, thank you.
And I wrote down, I just didn't see it. Okay, so again, that motion and second includes the fee not to exceed $16,800. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of approval of Dick Albee for reappointment to the Board of Adjustment with a term expiring December 31st, 2018. Doug, any comments on this?
During a previous meeting, Dick advised that he'd be willing to serve again on that, on the board. It's great to have him on that board. He has some legal background. I think that, actually works very well, and, I think we're very fortunate that he wants to serve again, and it's nice to have him on there, so he's done a good job.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
I would move that we approve the reappointment of Dick Albee to the Board of Adjustment expiring December 31st, 2018.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Jim and a second by Diane to approve the reappointment of Dick Albee to the Board of Adjustment, term expiring December 31st, 2018. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of approval of Michelle Schaefer for reappointment to the Historic Preservation Commission, a term expiring December 31st, 2016. I'll refer to Jim Davies for comments on this.
Yes, Michelle indicated that she would like to be reappointed to the commission.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
I move we approve the reappointment of Michelle for the historic preservation for a term expiring 31 December 2016.
Second there. A motion by Dick and a second by Craig to approve the reappointment of Michelle Schaefer to the Historic Preservation Commission with a term expiring December 31, 2016. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of approval of Mark Dreyer as replacement for Les Creighton on the Hampton Public Library Board of Trustees, a term expiring July 31st, 2017. Library Director Kim Manning has advised that Mr. Dreyer is willing to complete Mr. Creighton's term, and she does recommend him for that appointment. Ron, do you have anything to add to the conversation?
No.
Any questions? Entertain a motion then?
I make a motion to approve Mark Dreyer.
Is there a second?
Second.
I should note that that term is actually expiring June 30th, 2017, not July 31st. So then Diane, your motion would be for a term expiring June 30th, 2017.
Correct.
Now, second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of installation of red flashing lights at the intersection of Highway 3 West and First Street for Conference City Manager Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. We discussed this at the last workshop, the importance of having a red flashing light at the intersection for better visibility and safety during fog and evening, nighttime, morning hours. It seemed to be the consensus that that was something we wanted to move forward through with, and the DOT is in favor of that as well. A couple of the options would be to use the current mass of poles from our old traffic lights, and just have work done on the red, whether it's wiring or controls, whatever the work needs to be done to make that reliably red flashing light in all four directions. The estimate was $1,700. Or to get a four-way red flashing beacon suspended by cable diagonally overhead across the intersection with an estimated cost of $7,000, with city and DOT participating. We don't have a breakdown of what the DOT's cost expense would be and versus what the city's would be. So we're looking for some direction on which of those you want staff to pursue.
There was a question raised if the mass and the pole stayed. There was a question of confusion of. It's okay. Whether it caused confusion to have the three, the old box of red, yellow, or red, yellow, and green there, and was there a question of whether they might all be red? Because my feeling was the $1,700 route was a good way to go. Least expensive for us, the DOT is supporting that, but there was a question about what it would look like. Is there just gonna be one red circle there, or how would they?
For the 1,700, it'd be just the top red circle,
Flashing.
flashing.
Flashing
Yep.
from all four directions?
All four directions.
I could live with that. I mean, I think that it would be something, I understand what the mayor wrote up about the potential people see that anticipating the switch, but it's gonna be hard for you not to see the other lights at some point in time too, to see that they're all flashing, which I think that, I agree with Dick, I think the price is right.
Well, the compliment was both sides.
Exactly. I agree with what was brought to you too,
Yep.
but I think that this is the most economical, feasible thing for us to do.
And it's an improvement. What's it?
I had a few comments actually today, and the only complaint or concern was having a red flashing light. Either way, I explained both. Either way was fine, you could save them up, save money. 1,700 out.
Doug, would the red light be in the existing, the three would stay, or would a separate unit be put on
The
top?
three, from my understanding, Jim, the three would stay, just the top red one would just go into operation.
Yeah, cause I had one citizen call and was concerned about leaving it the way it was, might give the impression, that it's gonna be maybe returned to what it originally was, if we left it as it was. Or as it is.
That was my only concern, is leaving all, the regular one as it's there, whereas it could be replaced with just one red flashing light, then they would know that we're not gonna eventually get the rest of it going. Maybe replacing that part of it.
Do you think there's a possibility to replace
Just the head.
just the head?
I could look into that. I think there's probably gonna be more costs associated with that. There's gonna be more components, so, but I can check into that if you'd like, but it would definitely gonna run into more cost.
Well, it sounds like there's definite consensus to move forward with a red flashing light. Matter at hand is how much you want to spend, how much more research do you want to do? Leave that in the hands of you guys, what motion do you want to make?
I received another call today, encouraging getting some sort of a red flashing light there. And there's been extreme satisfaction with the stop signs that have been put in place on both sides of the highway from each direction, along with the warning signs that are there. So very visible in the daytime, but the concern was the nighttime. That was the concern. So I would make a motion that we go ahead and with the process of a $1,700 expense to utilize the existing structures and have one flashing red light suspended from each of the existing poles.
Is there a second? Second. cost of $1,700. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. What's the time estimate on the work on that? Doug, do you know?
3 weeks from the time of notification is what they advised. Obviously, weather could have some sort of, play into that, but 3 weeks is the time I was given.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have approval of claims as submitted by staff tonight. That's in the amount of $188,561.62. And this includes a scheduled debt payment of $75,490 paid on December 1st. There's a motion to approve the claims.
I make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
Motion by Diane and a second by Jim to approve the claims as submitted by staff in the amount of $188,561.62. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is consideration of approval and adoption of resolution 2013-28, a resolution directing the disposal of an interest in real property following public hearing at 208th Street Northwest, Hampton, Iowa. For reading of the resolution, consider it tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. 208th Street Northwest. This property we received one bid on. You all have copies of the bid. It is dated 11/26/13. To whom it may concern, we, Stephen and Karen Kulo, would like to place a bid on a property located at 208th Street Northwest, Hampton. We would like to bid the amount of $1,111.11 with the option of raising bids at council meetings when bids are open. Obviously, it was the only bid. I don't see Kulo's present. Probably doesn't want to raise it, I'm assuming. Didn't send anybody as a proxy to raise it. So I'll go ahead and read through this resolution. 2013-28, resolution directing the disposal of an interest in real property following public hearing, 208th Street Northwest, Hampton, Iowa. Whereas the city of Hampton, Iowa is the owner of real estate located at 208th Street Northwest, Hampton, Iowa, and approves the conveyance of its interest by quitclaim deed in the following real estate described as the east half of lots 3 and 4, block 6, Kingman's addition to Hampton, Franklin County, Iowa. Whereas the city of Hampton has approved the bid for sale of said property submitted by Stephen Kulo. Hereafter referred to as the buyer in the amount of $1,111.11, payable in full at or before the time of closing. And whereas the city council, having upheld a public hearing regarding sale of said property, heard no comments or objections contrary to the disposal of an interest in real property, and whereas the city of Hampton sells the afore described real estate by quitclaim deed and as is condition. Now therefore be it resolved, upon receipt of the signed sales agreement between the city of Hampton and the buyer, the city attorney shall prepare all legal documents necessary to consummate said transaction, and that the mayor and city manager be and are hereby authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to complete said transaction, including the deed, groundwater hazard statement, declaration of value required, and perform all other acts necessary to complete the sale of said described real estate upon receipt of full payment of the approved amount at or before the time of closing, with closing on or before December 31st, 2013. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Yes.
Should we be including Karen Kulo since she was in? I think we could put just Steve's name.
Sure, yeah, we can add Stephen and Karen, yep.
Okay. Questions? Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Craig and a second by Val to approve and adopt resolution 2013-28. Any discussion? On the roll call vote, Eckhart?
Aye.
Barnes is absent. Davies?
Aye.
Lukensmeyer?
Aye.
Raleigh?
Aye.
Auguback?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Next is resolution 2013-29, a resolution directing the disposal of an interest in real property following public hearing. Property located at 409 First Street Southwest, Hampton, Iowa. Refer reading of resolution, city manager.
and this is for property at 409 First Street Southwest. This bid is dated November 29, 2013. To whom this concerns, I wish to purchase the property offered for sale by the city located at 409 First Street Southwest in Hampton, Iowa. I am entering a $1,250 as an opening bid. Thank you, Roy J. Street, 401 First Street Southwest. $1,250 from Roy J. Street. And resolution with that information inserted. Resolution 2013-29, a resolution directing the disposal of an interest in real property following public hearing, 409 First Street Southwest, Hampton, Iowa. Whereas the city of Hampton, Iowa is owner of real estate located at 409 First Street Southwest, Hampton, Iowa. Approves the conveyance of its interest by quitclaim deed in the following real estate described as Lot 2, except the south 81 feet thereof, Block 32, Beeds, second addition to Hampton, Franklin County, Iowa. Whereas the city of Hampton has approved the bid for sale of said property submitted by Roy J. Street, Hampton, hereafter referred to as the buyer, in the amount of $1,250 payable in full or at or before the time of closing. Whereas the city council, having held a public hearing regarding the sale of said property, heard no comments or objections contrary to this disposal of an interest in real property. And whereas the city of Hampton sells the afore described real estate by quitclaim deed and as is condition. Now therefore be it resolved, upon receipt of the signed sales agreement between the city of Hampton and the buyer, the city attorney shall prepare all legal documents necessary to consummate said transaction. And that the mayor and city manager be and are hereby authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to complete said transaction, including the deed, groundwater hazard statement, declaration of value required, and perform all other acts necessary to complete the sale of said described real estate upon receipt of full payment, the approved amount at or before time of closing, with closing on or before December 31st, 2013.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Diane and a second by Jim to approve and adopt resolution 2013-29. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Crowley?
Aye.
Rubensmeyer?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Lonback?
Aye.
Martin Sampson? Davies?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is resolution 2013-30, a resolution proposing disposal of city-owned real estate by purchase offer at 100 block of Federal Street North, Hampton, Iowa. For reading the resolution, city manager.
Yeah, this is, Alan has made an offer of $1,000 to purchase the bare lot that is situated to the south of the used to be CNC Auto. He's purchased that lot and would like to acquire the vacant lot behind it that the city owns. First step would be the city to, if they're interested, to approve this resolution. It describes the amount that's being offered, $1,000, sets a date for a public hearing. Resolution 2013-30, a resolution proposing disposal of city-owned real estate by purchase offer, 100 block Federal Street North, Hampton, Iowa. Whereas the city of Hampton, Iowa is the owner of real estate located in 100 block of Federal Street North, Hampton, Iowa, and proposes to convey its interest in the following real estate parcel: 0733 212011, described as the south 22 feet of the east one half of lot 1, block 9, the original town of Hampton, Franklin County, Iowa. Whereas the city of Hampton has determined the property is no longer needed for municipal purposes and desires to sell the property. Whereas the city of Hampton proposes to convey its interest in the described real estate by accepting proposed offers submitted by Alan Berman to purchase said real estate for the amount of $1,000. And whereas the city of Hampton will sell the afore described real estate by quitclaim deed in as-is condition, and whereas said offer will be presented to the city of Hampton for review and consideration and approval at the January 9th, 2014 City Council regular session at 6 p.m. Whereas notice of public hearing for proposing such sale and of the date, time, place of the public hearing shall be published as provided by law. Public hearing set for Thursday, January 9th, 2014 at 6 p.m. at City Council chambers. Whereas any and all objections to said proposed sale may be made known, after which the Hampton City Council may consider accepting the proposed offer. Whereas accepted offer shall require Ellen Berman to sign a city council approved sales agreement with the city of Hampton, pay the approved amount in full at the time of closing. Now therefore be it resolved, the city of Hampton, Iowa proposes to sell that real estate parcel 0733-212-011, described as the south 22 feet of the east half, lot 1, block 9, original town of Hampton, to Alan Berman, following public hearing on the matter for proposed offer in the amount of $1,000, closing on or before February 28, 2014. Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Val and a second by Dick to approve and adopt resolution 2013-30. Any discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment that I'm glad that Mr. Berman is willing to step forward to try and make this kind of an improvement in the community. We thank you.
Any other comment, question? Roll call vote, Hogaback?
Aye.
Davies?
Aye.
Raleigh?
Aye.
Hines is absent. Lucensmeyer?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Bill. Resolution 2013-31, a resolution accepting and awarding bid from, for proposed removal, disposal, and sale of public trees from Harriman Park. For reading of the resolution, city manager Doug.
I guess before I read the resolution, I'll have Dick talk about the bid and what recommendation the tree board is gonna make regarding.
I think you guys all have copied the one bid that we did receive. The tree board, after a lot of research and discussion, really had a feel for what we thought the value of these trees might be. They're not veneer quality trees. They're trees just need to be removed, to be replaced with maybe even other species. That's the long-term plan. So the bid that you've got in front of you is a reasonable bid, but it's got a contingency on that we just couldn't honor. There was one more tree that was noticed that was struck by lightning. It's a fairly valuable tree now, but it has some life in it, and they wanted to get that tree. We've had some discussion with that company, and we feel there's some room for negotiations and looking down the road, maybe even the replacement of that tree with a large tree spaded in from that company. So we're gonna recommend to you at this point that we not pass this, and we're gonna be moving forward quickly, if that's the case, to try and come up with an agreement that's gonna be even better.
So just to be clear, then the tree board recommendation would be to not.
I would say
not move forward.
to reject
To
the bid,
reject
and
the bid,
that can be
right.
done through a
Yes.
motion, to reject the bid.
Any questions?
In the if you do that, I would suggest the motion to reject the bid submitted by Wilson Custom Tree, so.
All right. If that's the case, then we entertain a motion to that effect.
I guess I would make the motion then to reject the December 5th bid from Wilson Custom Tree.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Diane and a second by Val then to reject the bid by Wilson Tree. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote on that. Davies?
Aye.
Eckhart?
Aye.
Hines is absent. Hogaback?
Aye.
Lucensmeyer?
Being chairman of the tree board, I'll abstain.
And Raleigh.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. Next, we have the consent agenda. Tonight, that includes approving previous minutes as drafted from the Monday, November 25th, 2013 regular session meeting, scheduling the next regular session for Monday, December 23rd, 2013 at 6 p.m. in City Council chambers, and approval of liquor licensing renewal for B&C Kitchen Incorporated at 7 First Avenue Northwest in Hampton. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. To approve.
Here's a second.
Second.
Motion by Val and a second by Craig to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next we have staff reports. Fire Chief Wilkinson is not with us. Police Chief Schaefer.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. Nuisance enforcement efforts, we're still at that, not quite as we were during the summer months, but from December 1st till today, we have 3 nuisance letters that were sent out, which we still have 3 open, and we have 5 nuisance CRs, of which 2 are closed and 3 are open. So basically, we've got the 3 letters that we have there. One of the other things I'd like to mention is the last time that we had our council meeting, I had told you that there was a group from Wisconsin that had come down and had searched the ponds out north of town for a missing person. And in going through what they had on their video or whatever, they found 2 things that they thought deserved more attention. And they had contacted me, and this was the first part of the month, and of course the ice had already formed. The team that they had asked for me to contact in Story County does not do any diving or anything under ice. So they came down here today and opened up the 2 spots in the ice and checked, and basically the only thing we found were rocks. But the way it showed up on the sonar, they were concerned enough that they were willing to drive down here to check that out. But again, the only thing that we did find was rocks, so nothing more to report on that. Unless anybody has any questions, I'd like to wish everybody happy holidays. Have a good Christmas and safe travels if you're going anywhere. Any questions? Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you, Mayor. As you guys know, we've had a couple winter events already. I think about the only thing I'd like to bring up tonight is, my report would be staff's concerns a little bit again. We've tried some publicity and getting some information out there regarding snow removal process in the downtown area. I intend to contact maybe the chamber director and have a discussion with them a little bit. There was approximately 50% of the downtown business lots were not cleared very well at the time that our staff went through, causing city staff to go through a second night or second morning for a few hours and clear the snow that was actually moved from the sidewalks into the street later in the day type thing. It just, the snow wasn't removed off sidewalks in a timely manner. We did try to have a meeting earlier in the, a few weeks ago, I guess. I contacted the actual people that do the snow removal process, but it appears that, you know, I only had 2 people show up for that. We put information out there. Just would really encourage the business owners, if they can, maybe try to make a better effort, if possible, to, you know, try to maybe get that snow put off their sidewalks early enough to where we're not sending the crew out for a second night if we don't have to. I understand if it continues to snow and we get accumulations, and timing really is everything regarding snow removal. But these were actually 2 events that really we could have been helped out where could have saved us already a little bit in the snow budget. So I'm gonna have those discussions, see if I can get some people to jump on board and maybe just work together a little bit and try to save a few tax dollars if we can. So other than that, we got a lot going on, even though I know the budget's right around the corner, and we're digging in on that. So any questions or concerns? All right, like the chief said, happy holidays.
Rhonda?
I just want to thank those that came to the open house in honor of Sean Dietz, mayor, outgoing mayor, and Craig Eckhart. And I want to take this opportunity to make a presentation to each of you for your years of service. Sean, this is a plaque in recognition and appreciation and dedication and service by Sean Dietz as mayor from January 2012 to December 2013 from the city manager. Thank you. Craig, in recognition and appreciation appreciation of your dedication and service, Craig Eckhart, City Council from May 2003 to December 2013. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Council reports, Craig.
I just wanted to thank everybody. We do have one more meeting probably for the end of the year, so I'll probably get a little bit more detailed then. But I just wanted to remind everybody that one of the goals and objectives and the things that I first learned as a council person was that there's some very simple things that we have to do as a council person, and that is to adopt goals and objectives for the city, approve and amend budgets and spending and things of that nature, and that the decisions we come to, we do by studying problems and trying to come up with solutions. The one thing that I've always learned is that this city operates at its best when we allow staff to do its job. And I think we've got a great staff with the chief, public works director, and city manager, and I'd like to see that continue. So, that's all I got.
Great. The plaque should probably add a few more years on here.
Yeah.
Studied the city for longer than you've been sitting up here, so. Dick?
Just a comment to you gentlemen, appreciate your leadership over the last 2 years, the freshness that you brought to the mayor's chair. And Craig, your diligence and the time that you put in is remarkable. You've done a very good job.
Thank you. Val?
I'd like to echo those words. It's been a pleasure working with both of you, and I've learned a lot, and I appreciate your patience. Good luck to you both.
Thank you. Diane?
Basically the same thing. Thanks to Sean for your time and Craig for letting me ask you a lot of dumb questions.
Jim?
Yeah, thank you, Sean and Craig, for your years of service.
Well, we've got one more meeting to go, so I'm gonna save my thanks and everything, so. Because I'm hopeful that there's gonna be something that we can vote on at the next meeting. There is, I can tell you, I received an email today of an updated letter of understanding that we hope to move forward with on the dispatching agreement, and so I'm hopeful that there's a possibility that we can get that sealed up before the end of the year and put that to bed. There is a joint emergency management and E911 meeting next Tuesday, so we'll learn more about that there. And then, as I said, hopefully we can move forward on that process and get this buttoned up finally. But that's all I have, and if there's nothing else, I'd call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned at 6:59.